quite enjoyed the first season of Mindhunter. Now, I love police procedural thriller movie or TV show. I love the slow burn, and if the characters are engaging and the cases are interesting, then in my opinion it makes for great watching. All right, now in this show, it's based on real life cases and real life murderers. So it makes it that much more interesting, where I can actually look up the people involved and see how accurate the show is, or read some more background information on who the real people were. And this first season is great. Now, first off, I gotta say, the main character, his name is Holden Ford. Now, for an Australian, all right, this is funny, because the two largest car manufacturers, the two household name car manufacturers that existed in Australia before our car manufacturing industry disappeared, were Holden and Ford. All right, Holden being a subsidiary of General Motors. But they were both, we had our own local models of these foreign companies, and they were manufactured here. And so these are household names. So hearing a character's name Holden Ford is, I don't know, kind of amusing for an Aussie. Anyway, that aside, this show is not funny at all. All right, this is a very dead serious show, and it's thrilling, it's captivating, it's engrossing, it's shot beautifully, and I got to attribute that to the fact that David Fincher is involved. I'm not sure if he's directing episodes directly or if he's just a producer or what, but you can feel his hand in there. There's a lot of his style in the series, and it feels very cinematic. All right, each episode feels like a movie, and it's shot so nicely. The cinematography is beautiful. The mood and atmosphere of the show is just spot on, and it's very reminiscent of Fincher's Zodiac movie and some of his other films like Seven and stuff like that. But this is very procedural, and I love that. It's very much based in the methods and the tactics and how FBI agents go about investigating a case, and it's fascinating stuff. I don't know how accurate it is to the real process that's involved in real life, but it makes for great viewing in this show, however they've dramatized it. And the characters are interesting. You know, Holden Ford is an interesting character. They've tried to give him, I don't know if he's based on a real person or not. I should look that up. And but he's played well. They've tried to make him layered and, you know, have different issues in his life and all that. But the character that stands out most to me, that I most identify with, the character that I can identify with the most, is Bill Tench. He's fantastic. And I say identify because he just feels like a real person. He feels like an everyman, a guy who's got, you know, a family life. He's got struggles in his life and all that. And he's a family man, and he's sort of a hard ass. You know, he's an old school kind of guy. He's stoic, he's tough, but he's also funny as well. Like, he cracks good jokes, and he's just played so damn well by the actor who plays him. I've seen that guy in so many movies. It's funny seeing him play an FBI agent, you know, watching him in law enforcement, actually catching criminals, when the last movie I remember seeing him in was that bloody prison movie, the one with Jamie Lannister. God, its name escapes me now. The one with all the stupid moustaches. I've reviewed it on my channel, and he played like a criminal lord in the jail in that movie, and he was really good in that. But he's outstanding in this. He just feels like a real person. He's played so well, and I like he has a bit of a short temper, and that he just feels like a real old school, salt of the earth kind of working class man, even though he's quite the intellectual. I mean, he works for the FBI, he's tracking down serial killers, he's putting all these clues together, he's in behavioral science and criminology. He's a smart intellectual man, but he feels like a blue collar, real sort of guy. And that's just a testament to the actor and the writing of the show, that he really comes across as relatable. And I love his character. He's my favorite character in the show, by far. I love also how they interact with the other cops from small towns, and that they go around teaching other police departments across the United States in their, more advanced FBI profiling and case-solving techniques. And it's fascinating seeing them go to the different towns and interacting and helping with the cases. Each time they go to a new town, I'm like, oh, they're going to find a new case, a fascinating new case. And I don't know if these cases are based on real-life cases or not, but, they feel like they're real cases. They seem like they could slot into being an episode of Unsolved Mysteries or something like that, or on some true crime podcast. So the show feels very realistic and documentary-like in some cases, but it's also very dramatic as well and feels very cinematic at the same time. And it's fascinating watching them interact with who these real people are. And a lot of the serial killers they interact with, I'm familiar with. I've read about them or watched documentaries about them or whatever. I do like true crime. I find it very fascinating how the police go about catching these bastards and that. And it gives you a hope that these, justice will eventually be served, because you have dedicated police and detectives, work in these cases, and sometimes it takes decades, but eventually, usually in most cases, they end up solving it. And you always hope it happens before the criminal who does it gets away with it. But, as a believer in the afterlife, I don't think anyone gets away with anything evil that they do. So, it's great watching this show and how they portray a lot of these real people. And they pick actors that really look like the people, like Ed Kemper and Berkowitz. They got actors that really look like those guys, and it was interesting watching how they break down these people psychologically. Holden Ford is, quite the maverick, and the show seems to portray him as being the one who pioneered this whole idea of interviewing serial killers who are in prison, usually on life sentences or on death row, interviewing them to get an insight into their motivations, their psyche, what drives them, what their childhoods were like, so that he can form a profile and start to put these people into pigeonholes and use that profile to hopefully catch other people that fit these, parameters, these psychological parameters, to catch these people before they offend or before they continue offending and killing and murdering people, but being able to catch them early and see the warning signs in children even. He goes to a school and tries to teach kids to look out for signs amongst their classmates or their friends or their brothers and sisters, and then to have them report it to the police. So he's trying to, it's almost like pre-crime that you see in that Minority Report book and movie, where they want to catch people before they commit crimes, but not to that extent where they're, reading minds and arresting people before they've committed a crime. In this case, what they want to do is identify the psychopathy and the mental illness that a lot of these people seem to have, and to be able to treat these people adequately before they offend, to identify them before they offend and monitor them before they offend, and if they are offenders, to help catch them quicker and easier, instead of having these open cases for decades, like the BTK killer, who was able to go around in freedom murdering people without being caught for a long time. And it's funny I mentioned BTK because his case, the Dennis Rader case, is an overarching element of this first season. And you see it keeps cutting to Dennis Rader in his life and how he escalates, and you see some of his pathologies and some of his sick, deviant perversions, playing out, and how he's trying to hide them from his family, and they start to come, cross paths with his case towards the end of the season. And it leaves that open for the next season on how they're going to try and investigate him. But it is kind of sad knowing, if you're going into this show not knowing about BTK, you'd find it interesting thinking, oh, maybe they'll catch him next season. But having known and read about this case, sadly, he's not caught for like another 25 or so years after this show is set in 1978. So, knowing that, it kind of sucks that they're not going to catch him anytime soon in this show, unless the show goes for another 30 fucking seasons and it stays chronological, you know. But still, it's interesting to see how they tried to profile BTK and tried to get into his mind without knowing who the hell he is and how they're going to try and solve that case. And they're already pegging the guy wrong. Holden Ford, with all his amazing instincts that he has for getting into a criminal's mind, is already barking up the wrong tree, assuming he's not a family man. Because there's no way a psycho like that could, you know, keep a family life together and lead a double life. But Dennis Rader did that. For a long time, nobody suspected him, you know. So it's a fascinating show to see how it all goes down now, the inner workings of the FBI back in the 70s, you know. That's assuming the show is accurate. Yeah, a few of the things that I find annoying are not, you know, criticisms of the show itself and how it's made. It's just some of the characters are annoying characters, but that's the people that they are. So, you know, it's well written because they're, you know, I don't know the ideologies or whatever of the writers. Maybe they didn't, you know, intend these characters to be annoying, but to me, they are annoying. And that's the Wendy character, played by Anna Torv, and man, she plays it well, and she's quite beautiful, I gotta say. She and an Australian actress as well, and she plays the role well, but I find her annoying. She's got this sort of wide-eyed, optimistic naivety about these murderers, as though somehow they don't deserve the death penalty, because that's, you know, barbaric and inhumane, which is ridiculous when you think about what these people did, you know. It's justice as far as I'm concerned. And she seems to, you know, have a sympathy for them. And she's like, oh, well, you have to have a sympathy for them to try and get into their mind. No, you really don't. That's why I like Bill Tench's approach. He is all about getting into their mind, manipulating them and all that. You know, at first he's uncomfortable with Holden Ford's approach. Man, I'll never stop having a slight chuckle every time I say that fucking name, Holden Ford. But the car agent, that's what he is. Anyway, I like Bill Tench's approach because he's like not willing to jump completely into their mind like Holden Ford is. He wants to hold back a bit, but he's still willing to use, you know, deception tactics. And he starts being more open to that, you know, to Holden Ford's approach as the season goes on. But he's hard as nails, whereas Holden Ford eventually folds under the pressure of it all. Bill Tench stays strong, man, because he's a fucking man's man. I like Bill Tench for that reason. He's a great character. And he's like, he perfectly rides the lines between, you know, showing sympathy to these bastards, but also staying strong as well. Like, I loved the approach he had to one of the guys they go and see, this young bloke who had raped and murdered a whole bunch of girls, a real degenerate asshole. And the guy was being a smartass to them and acting like, oh, I don't have to help you guys out. And Bill's like, all right, well, we'll just leave and we'll go and get a nice hot steak sandwich down the road, nice cup of coffee, go home to our wives in our warm beds. That's how our day is going to pan out. How's the rest of your day looking? I love the way he taunted the asshole like that. That scene was great. That was Bill Tench's shining moment as far as I'm concerned. One of my favorite parts of that first season. So yeah, anyway, I find Wendy's character just annoying because she's like a bit of an activist, a bit fucking ideological, and way too naive and bloody sympathetic to these murderers, even though she is quite intelligent and, you know, she has quite the insights into their psyche and their mind as well. But I just feel like she's way too, you know, way too virtue signaling. Even though it's 1978, she's like, really, oh, I'm so virtuous and I will never stoop to the level of being like these, you know, barbarians who want to fry these people in the electric chair, because that would just be inhumane. She's like, yeah, way too sympathetic to the murderers, as far as I'm concerned. So I find that annoying. And I found Holden Ford's girlfriend to be annoying because she's the same thing. She's like a stupid little hippie, and she's all, you know, she goes to college and she's reading all these philosophers, and oh, she has so many insights into the world. And it's like, you got no idea, girl. lit a sheltered life, and she's just got no clue. And she's all ideological, just like Wendy is. And that's kind of annoying. And it's funny, Wendy's name is Wendy Carr, and Holden Ford is like, got 2 car names. So that, I don't know, I find dumb shit like that kind of funny. And every time it pops up in the show, I like, Holden Ford, the car man. But that aside, the show is, like I said, it's played straight, and it's just a great, dark, gritty, 1978 thriller. I love the cinematography. The camera work is gorgeous. It's great to watch. Just the establishing shots when they go to a new town are fantastic. I love it. I love seeing all the, how they dress up the scene to be 1978. They have to get all the cars in. They have to get everyone's clothing right, and it's just beautiful. It's like looking through a time machine back into 1978. It just feels authentic, and it's done so well. And yeah, the standout is Bill Tench. Great character, and he's a good man too. You can tell, he stands up for what's right, and he has no sympathy for the bastard murderers. He doesn't fall into their trap and their bullshit, where they try to garner sympathy and pretend to have a friendship just so they can, solicit favors and things like that from the FBI agents. So it's interesting to see how this, the whole approach of getting into the minds of these killers and profiling them mentally, and how, the whole concept of the serial killer being an actual thing that the FBI investigates as sort of a subfield, and how that was established. That's all fascinating to watch. It's interesting to see the pushback they were getting at first by people who, didn't have faith in this whole idea of interviewing the prisoners. They'll sort of lock them away and that's it, they're done, they're of no use to society anymore. But this guy's like, hey, how about Holden Ford and Bill Tench are like, how about we use these guys? Use them. They're just sitting there rotting away. Let's use them and manipulate them to get information to try and catch other bastards before they act, or before they, kill as many people as they can, So I found that interesting, the inner workings of the FBI and all that, the in-house politics and the, backstabbings and things like that. That's all good. I liked that character, Smith, or whatever his name was, the young twerpy guy that they brought in towards the end of the first season. But, he was a Christian guy, and he's an upstanding member of society and all super honest and all that, and I liked him. But then he went and ratted on them to that bloody, OHS committee, or whoever they were, that internal affairs bloody ethics committee. He went and ratted them to that for no reason. That was stupid. Well, I have to do the right thing. But something you got to use your discernment sometimes, and look at what the wider cause is and the mission that they're trying to do. Sometimes you got to cut a few corners to get the results that you got to get. They weren't being unethical. God, Holden Ford used some blue language when he's talking to the prisoners. Big deal. Anyway, it's a testament to the show. I actually got drawn into the characters, their motivations, and the fact that some characters pissed me off through their actions is good writing. And the show never pushed any agendas or anything like that. It just sort of it presented you with different characters with different motivations and different ideologies and different opinions, and it allowed you to side with who you wanted to side with. I sided with Bill Tench and Holden Ford for the most part, but Bill Tench is like the anchor, the pillar of the show for me, and that's why I love his character. I hope nothing bad happens to him in season 2, and yeah, it's a great show. I recommend you watch it if you like true crime sort of shows. Even though it's fictional, it's presented like a true crime drama. I mean, it's fictional in the sense of the characters and all that, but it's based on real cases. And so if you like that, if you like police shows, police procedural shows, which I love, this show is right up your alley as well. It's a dark, moody, atmospheric thriller, and it's just great to watch. The acting's fantastic, and I can't praise that cinematography enough. It's just so damn good. Creators of this show, Fincher included, have really nailed it and hit it out of the park. I'm engrossed. Can't wait to dive into season 2. I'll be reviewing that as well when I'm done, and I hope that the show keeps going. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Take care, be good, and I'll see you later, folks.